Long before the cameras, the awards, and the global recognition, there was a child trying to understand why her world felt incomplete. Growing up in a fractured household, she experienced emotional absence at an age when stability matters most. Her mother became her anchor, carrying the weight of two roles with quiet resilience. Life wasn't glamorous, it was uncertain, sometimes financially strained, and emotionally complex. While the outside world celebrated her father's success, she learned early that public admiration doesn't always reflect private reality. This contrast shaped her understanding of love, trust, and belonging. It also planted the seeds of both strength and vulnerability. Her early years were not defined by privilege, but by adaptation, learning how to cope, how to observe, and how to survive in an environment where emotional security was never guaranteed. Feeling like an outsider. School years brought a different kind of challenge. Surrounded by peers who seemed to fit in effortlessly, she often felt like she didn't belong. Her features, which the world would later celebrate, became sources of insecurity during adolescence. She stood out in ways that made her uncomfortable, drawing attention she neither understood nor welcomed. Social circles felt distant, and acceptance seemed conditional. During this time, she began internalizing the idea that being different meant being isolated. It was a period marked by self-doubt, where identity felt like something fragile rather than empowering. Yet even in those moments, something deeper was forming: a quiet resilience, an ability to endure discomfort, and a growing awareness of her emotional depth. These years, though painful, would later shape the authenticity that defined her presence on screen. Searching for identity through expression. As she moved into her teenage years, the need to understand herself became more urgent. She turned to creative expression as a way to process emotions she couldn't easily articulate. Acting wasn't initially about fame, it was about escape, transformation, and exploration. On stage, she could step into different lives, different stories, and momentarily step away from her own uncertainties. This creative outlet became both a refuge and a mirror, reflecting parts of herself she didn't yet fully understand. It allowed her to channel intensity into something meaningful, something structured. While others saw performance, she experienced release. This period marked the beginning of a lifelong relationship with storytelling, where art became a tool not just for career, but for survival, healing, and self-discovery. The rise to recognition. Her early roles didn't immediately catapult her into stardom, but they revealed something undeniable: raw, unfiltered presence. There was a depth in her performances that felt real, almost unsettling in its honesty. Audiences and critics began to notice. Breakthrough moments followed, and with them came recognition, awards, and visibility. Yet fame didn't arrive quietly. It came with scrutiny, expectations, and a magnifying glass over every aspect of her life. She became known not just for her talent, but for her unpredictability. The industry didn't quite know how to define her, and perhaps that was her strength. She wasn't easily categorized, and that made her compelling. As her career accelerated, she found herself balancing professional success with personal complexity, navigating a world that often blurred the line between the two. Love, intensity, and public scrutiny relationships became a focal point of public fascination. Her approach to love was passionate, intense, and deeply emotional, qualities that didn't always translate smoothly under constant media attention. Every decision, every moment was analyzed and interpreted by others. What felt personal became public narrative. This scrutiny created pressure, turning relationships into stories for the world to consume rather than experiences to live. Despite this, she continued to seek connection, driven by a desire to build something meaningful. These experiences, though often challenging, contributed to her understanding of herself and her boundaries. They also highlighted the difficulty of maintaining authenticity in a space where perception often outweighs reality. Through it all, she remained someone searching, not for perfection, but for something real. Motherhood as a turning point. Everything shifted when she became a mother. The responsibility of caring for another life brought clarity in a way nothing else had. It wasn't just about love, it was about purpose. Motherhood grounded her, offering a sense of direction that transcended career and public image. It inspired her to make different choices, to prioritize stability, and to think beyond herself. Her family grew in a way that reflected her values: diverse, inclusive, and deeply intentional. She embraced the role fully, seeing it not as an addition to her life, but as its
center. This transformation wasn't about perfection, it was about commitment. It marked a new chapter where her focus shifted from internal struggles to external responsibility, redefining what success meant to her. A voice beyond Hollywood. With her platform came influence, and she chose to use it beyond entertainment. She became involved in humanitarian efforts, traveling to regions affected by conflict and crisis. These experiences expanded her perspective, connecting her personal journey to global realities. She listened, learned, and advocated, using her visibility to highlight issues often overlooked. This work wasn't performative. It was deeply personal. It reflected her belief that influence carries responsibility. Through these efforts, she redefined her public identity, showing that her impact extended far beyond film. She wasn't just telling stories on screen, she was engaging with real ones in the world. This dimension of her life added depth to her legacy, demonstrating that purpose can evolve and expand over time. Facing personal and physical challenges. Despite her strength, life continued to present challenges, some deeply personal, others physical. Health decisions required courage, forcing her to confront difficult realities with determination. These choices were not easy, but they were intentional, rooted in a desire to protect her future and her family. She spoke openly about them, turning private struggles into opportunities for awareness. This transparency resonated with many, offering insight into the complexity of resilience. At the same time, emotional challenges persisted, reminding her that strength doesn't eliminate vulnerability. It simply allows you to face it. These experiences reinforced a truth she had learned early in life, that survival often requires difficult choices, and that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. The weight of separation and change. The end of a significant relationship marked another turning point. What had once appeared strong and unified became a source of conflict and transition. Separation brought emotional strain, not just for her, but for her family. It required navigating change under public scrutiny, balancing personal healing with parental responsibility. The process was complex, filled with legal, emotional, and practical challenges. Yet through it, she remained focused on what mattered most: her children. This period tested her resilience in new ways, demanding patience, strength, and clarity. It also reinforced the importance of boundaries and self-preservation. While the world watched, she worked quietly to rebuild stability, proving that even in the face of upheaval, it is possible to move forward with intention.
life beyond the spotlight. In recent years, her life has become more private, more intentional. She has stepped back from constant visibility, choosing instead to focus on meaningful work and personal balance. Her children are growing, building their own paths, and she is learning to adapt to this new phase. It is a transition filled with both pride and quiet reflection. Professionally, she continues to create, often behind the scenes, telling stories that matter to her. Personally, she values peace over attention, depth over display. This stage of her life is not about proving anything. It is about living authentically. It reflects a shift from external validation to internal clarity, where success is defined not by recognition, but by fulfillment, a story of endurance and growth. Her journey is not one of perfection, but of persistence. It is a story shaped by challenges, choices, and continuous evolution. She has experienced success, loss, transformation, and renewal, often all at once. What defines her is not any single moment, but the way she continues to move forward. Through every phase, she has shown that strength is not static. It grows, adapts, and sometimes redefines itself entirely. Her story reminds us that life is rarely linear, and that growth often comes from the most difficult experiences. In the end, What remains is not the image the world sees, but the resilience built over time, the quiet, enduring strength to keep going, to keep learning, and to keep becoming.